This is Tanaka Ranichindom representing Golden Cloud Network. Last week, Friday, in Mt Hampden, there was a national livestock sale that occurred, and something happened. Something happened that sent shockwaves across the country. There was a cattle, one cow that was sold for $40,000. Just to add context to that situation, $40,000 in Zimbabwe can buy you a residential stand, and all that money went to one cow. So naturally, we were intrigued, and naturally, we had to respond by carrying out certain research on the value of this cattle breed, because we realized and we found out that, hey, this is not just a regular cattle, this is not just a regular cow, it is a special breed known as the Brahman breed. What is that? Let me tell you something about the Brahman cattle breed. So firstly, you need to know that this breed originated in India. In India, there's a culture, there's a tradition that cows are not eaten. In Zimbabwe, in Africa, we eat cattle. But in India, they're like, no, this animal is sacred. Why? We found out that this is because these cattle went through extreme conditions and they had to adapt to survive. And they did survive. And through all that pain, through all that struggle, through all that suffering that these cattle went through due to environmental factors, something beautiful was produced. An animal with desirable characteristics. What desirable characteristics? We'll get into that shortly. But in the beginning, there were three of these cattle breeds. And the Americans came in, they identified these cattle breeds, and they had something cooking back home. So they exported the cattle from India and brought them to America, where they did something that we now know as crossbreeding. The science of crossbreeding was done and exercised on these three cattle breeds. And the product of that project was the Brahman cattle breed. Yes. And the product was so amazing. It was so great that they had to distribute. Like, everyone wanted one. Everyone wanted a Brahman cattle breed because of its characteristics. So they started distributing the Brahman cattle breed, the newly developed Brahman cattle breed, and they distributed it to Brazil. Some went to Brazil, some went to Mexico, and some here in Africa. They started in South Africa, but the cattle were sold in demand that they were distributed across Africa, specifically Namibia and Zimbabwe. That's what we found out. We don't know if they reached other parts of the continent, but we are sure that in South Africa, Namibia, and Zimbabwe, Brahman cattle were there. They were brought in the region. Why? Because of their distinct characteristics. So we're going to get into those characteristics. Number one, sexual precocity. What does that mean? You see, the Brahman cattle breed is special because they mature faster. And what does that mean for farmers? What does that mean in the livestock world? If livestock matures faster, that means that it can sexually reproduce faster. And if it sexually reproduces faster, that means it's able to bear more livestock. It's able to produce more livestock. So you got your bull, it matures faster. It mates with another cattle, and they produce maybe two little kettles, two little cows, and those two little cows grow and they mature faster and they reproduce and they produce other cows. So in no time, your herd will be large because of this sexual precocity of the Brahman cattle breed. So that is why farmers were like, whoa, hey, we bought our cows at the same time. How come you already have 10 and I'm only on 3? What's happening? And the farmer will be like, hey man, I got that Brahman. So that's how it works, and that's one characteristics that people love about the Brahman cattle breed. Number two, you see, the Brahman cattle breed has large body mass. We're talking large body mass. This is an estimate, but one Brahman cattle can be equivalent to maybe the mass of 2 regular cattle, and that's big. You have two kettles and one kettle. That's big. This is in terms of body mass. And why does that matter? Because, you know, farmers, it's a business. You know, they're trying to produce, they're trying to feed families. And if the more body mass your livestock has, the more body mass your cow has, the more people you can feed, the more beef you can produce. So people love that about the Brahman cattle breed, because it can produce more. It can produce more. And the more produce, the more money, the more people fed, the more lives saved. So that's number 2, body mass. Number 3, you see the Brahman cattle breed is described as tame. It's a tame breed of cattle, because, you know, some bulls cause a lot of trouble. You hear stories where some bulls are injuring people. You hear stories where some bulls are causing problems. They're disrupting peace in society, but not with the Brahman cattle breed. The Brahman cattle breed is tame, it's calm, it's easy to control. All you have to do is treat it right. It's really responsive to the way we treat it. So if we treat it with care, the Brahman cattle breed will be responsive to that care, and it will respond accordingly by not causing us any problems. And that matters. We do not want to be paying damages. Farmers don't want to be paying damages caused by their livestock. So hey, how can we get that result? Let's get that Brahman. So that's number 3. And number 4, you see, in Africa, temperatures are relatively high. Temperatures can reach, in some regions in Africa, for us to be specific, in Zimbabwe, in Gwanda, in Matabeleland South, to be specific, temperatures can reach up to 40 degrees. And some cattle cannot take that heat. They cannot. But the Brahman, guess what? The Brahman can. And, you know, this is beneficial, because if it can tolerate such temperatures, that means that it will grow at a normal pace. It will grow at a normal rate. Heat won't affect the cattle's growth. Heat won't affect milk production. So hey, who doesn't want that? People will rush, especially in areas, you know, in Africa, temperatures can get high. You know, in other parts of the world, temperatures can get high. So in these regions, people prefer the Brahman cattle breed because of its heat tolerance. It's really tolerant to heat, and it can still produce milk. A lot of milk can be produced even if it's hot. It can still grow normally even when it's hot. So those are only 4. Let's work with these 4. These are the 4 distinct characteristics why people prefer the Brahman cattle breed. So a lot of you might be wondering, what does this Brahman cattle breed look like? Because, you know, we've seen a lot of cattle, but hey, what does this Brahman cattle breed look like? Okay, let me try to describe what it looks like. So have you ever seen one of those cattle with a hump between the neck and the shoulder region? Yes, you see it, right? Yeah, that hump, the cattle with that hump over its neck. That's the Brahman. And it is also seen to have a lot of flesh hanging, you know, skin hanging, loose skin. Yes, exactly. The Brahman cattle has loose skin from the neck region to the front legs. So if you see a cattle like that, know that it's a Brahman. And it is known to have pendulous ears. You know, the ears are usually like this. They're like pendulous ears. And their horns, if you know, some horns don't even grow in this cattle, but if the horns are growing, they're growing upwards. They're not growing sideways. They'll be growing upwards. So that's just a little description of the Brahman cattle breed for those who are curious to know what it looks like. So these are the reasons why this Brahman cattle in the auction that was done in Mt Hampden cost $40,000. It's because of these characteristics. And imagine this, what more if this is a pure breed? Can you imagine that, having a pure Brahman breed? Because hey, these cattle are reproducing with other breeds. So, you know, some of the breeds that we have are not pure, but if you have a pure breed, that's valuable. That's worth bidding for. That's worth $40,000. Apparently, we didn't know this, but apparently it's worth $40,000. So this sums up our video where we're looking at the value of the Brahman cattle breed. Why is it so valuable? And this just showed us the science of crossbreeding. We're going to talk about that later. The value of sin, because all of this is a result of science of crossbreeding. Crossbreeding has led to a lot of developments in our modern day society that has benefited us in numerous ways, and this is one of them. If you like what you've seen, like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much. Golden Cloud Network, we out.